Good afternoon. Happy Saturday, November 1st. It is a brand new month. I hope you woke up feeling brand new because I did. I did. I certainly did. Welcome to Be the Message. You are watching the second episode of the Be the Message podcast with Queen Angel. I am your Miss Midwest Revolutionary Purpose for the Revolutionary Pageant System, and my platform is suicide prevention and mental wellness. Now, what does that have to do with what we're doing today? I'm glad you asked. So, today is National Authors Day. And if you know me, you know I'm a creative. You know, all my friends are famous and all of my friends are creative. I don't know how that happened. It just did. But because all of my friends are famous and all of my friends are creative, we have very distinctive challenges in regards to mental health and mental wellness and self care and how we cope and manage life and balance these things and our art crafts. So, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things today, but I want you to stay on task, okay? So, the purpose of this podcast is to shed light and to give a voice to causes and people that are making necessary and significant change today in their field. So, you're going to see people in different fields every month. Today, being National Authors Day, I could not help but to bring on my dear friend, who is famous and a creative, and we'll come back to her in one moment. But November is also Movember. Have you heard this? It's a thing. It's Movember. It is a global campaign to raise awareness and funds for men's mental health, suicide prevention, and prostate and testicular cancer. That is Movember. So, one other thing they do is not shave. So, you're going to see a whole bunch of bearded men this month. Amen. Praise the Lord. A bunch of bearded men walking around this month because they do not shave in Movember. The benefits are far, far reaching here. November is also National Gratitude Month. Obviously, Thanksgiving is at the end of the month, so we're going to be grateful. But National Gratitude Month focuses on practicing gratitude. Duh, of course. It's also a reminder to express appreciation through intentional acts of kindness. We've heard of random acts of kindness. You pull up in the Starbucks drive-through and they say, "Hey, the person in front of you just paid for your order." And you're like, "Oh, thank you." And they're like, "You want to pay it for it? Have a good day." Maybe not, but those are random acts of kindness. But National Gratitude Month focuses on intentional acts of kindness for those that we love and appreciate. So I love and appreciate my friends. And today's guest is definitely one of my friends. All right. So I am bringing to you USA Today best-selling author, author of she's a over 40 projects. Okay. I'm not naming the stuff, but I got a stack of books here that I'm gonna be showing you in a minute. Over 40 works. I got two. I have no idea, no idea how, where we find the time to do these things. I'm not even gonna show you what I got. My books, boom. This is what I got. Love's Great Design, monthly, weekly devotional, Target of Love, 40. I just want you to get this in your mind. 40 projects. But in addition to being a creative and being a author, award winning, also been on the Amazon bestsellers list a million times. I'm just gonna say it's been a million times. She is a mother. She is a sister. She is a daughter. She's an auntie. Okay. She is busy. She's an entrepreneur, TikTok extraordinaire. Listen, if you know her, you've probably watched her. You own something. You've seen her live. I'm excited. I'm bringing her in, Miss Jessica Cage.
Wow.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited to have you. We being me and all of my personalities for the day. I'm excited to have you here. Um, I don't even know how you found the time to agree to this because I've seen your schedule. I've seen your schedule. And when I say she is the epitome of organization, the calendar is immaculate. Okay. She
I
gets to
like
put
that you said
in
so.
lunch, take a break and have coffee, pack orders, go ship orders, recycle boxes, live. This is in addition to real life, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Yeah.
So, my friend, Jessica Cage, is here. This is normal for us. She been all up and through my house. She done been in every room on video because we talk. Okay. But if you don't know her, then I'm so happy to be introduced. I don't know how, but I'm so happy to be introducing you to my friend and this amazing creative on this morning, afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. Miss Jessica Cage, welcome to Be the Message.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. You know what? It's so funny that you mentioned my schedule, and I'm like sitting here like, I gotta get life together. And you're like, you're so organized. I'm like, okay.
Uh, let's talk about that. Okay. Let's talk about that because persona is everything, right?
Mm,
So we have to present ourselves in a certain light for it to make sense to us. It has to make sense to us, first of all. And that schedule is one thing that helps you make it make sense, even when it go off the rails.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I got to start with this 40. It's over 40. And you have a beautiful graphic that, that lists all of the works. These are series, these are anthologies, these are joint
Yeah.
projects. These, oh my God.
I'm running out of space. Like I try to make like get everything in there, but it's like once you get to a certain number, it's just like, can you guys even see the
Yes, we zoom in to look and check that
pages?
out. So, as an author of over 40 published works, how do you balance the other life? Being a mother, being a daughter, being a sister, being my friend, because that's a lot. How do you balance all of these other things?
The schedule. Like it's such a simple answer, but like I even put time on my calendar to just decompress. Where it's like I'm not talking to no one. I may be journaling or reading or whatever it is that I need for myself to recharge throughout the day. That's on the calendar. My calendar is kind of, especially when it's like everything's so busy and lots of travel. My son still has all his stuff that he has to get done, and I got to make sure he's on top of his game.
And he's
So
a teenager.
he is a teenager, so his life is getting more and more like independently busy, like outside of me. So the calendar helps me um, get everything in order. Therapy helps me keep myself, grounded and not overwhelmed. I think that for a long time I got away from going to therapy, but I was like, I need to get back. It's one of those things that it's never done. You know what I mean? Just to have that check in and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. And then I do a lot of journaling. I like to sit with my anxieties or whatever is causing me any type of grief, I guess, throughout my day and write it down and get it out of my head because then everything else just flows so much better. Like I will be in the middle of something and I'll feel the overwhelm hitting and I'll just pause, pick up, and just write it all out. And it just helps me move forward throughout my day. So it's little things like that where I try to stay centered and I try to stay tapped into what I'm feeling throughout the days.
Mhm.
Because sometimes, like you said, I may have a full day schedule, but everything goes off the rail. And that can be so overwhelming because my mind starts to say, well, now I got to push this to this day. And now I have to figure out when to get that done. And sometimes you got to just pause and be like, listen, it's okay. Let's write it out. Let's reset and go forward. So,
Okay. So you mentioned therapy and you mentioned journaling being a big part of that. What other practices do you have in place to manage mental health?
I like to do a lot of like for me, I'm a very creative person. So when I feel overwhelmed, I'll paint. Anything that I'm like, I make bookmarks, like book ribbons, it's something that I do that just like calms my mind, right? And it's a benefit for my readers because when they order books from me, they get them for free. Because I'm like, if not, I would have thousands of them. What am I going to do with them? Um, so it's little things like that. I tap into the things that bring me joy. And sometimes that means just sitting and like watching an old vampire movie or reading a book or,
That's
I,
relaxing. The
oh,
vampire.
absolutely. Just underworld, let's go, let's go. And then my brain is just like, yes, peacefulness. So I will find the things that just those little small pockets of joy that I can give myself, things that don't take a lot of energy to get into. Um, but then also it's just like the typical self-care stuff, the skincare and getting a massage and reminding myself like you work so hard. Like it's time to pause and like enjoy the fruits of your labor. And then that energy gives me the motivation to keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to pause and inject myself into your schedule because we have not had an evening skincare routine uh, on live chat in a very long time.
We
So,
haven't,
okay,
yeah.
put that in there because
Put that on the
listen,
schedule.
we brush teeth, we clean teeth,
And that was like for a
we
long time, that was a
face
big
mask.
part. Yeah. That was a big part of my schedule for a long time, like evening chats with with Angel on the phone, doing our
Mhm.
skincare, auntie vibes. Yeah.
That part. So how do you continue to create? You mentioned stress, time for some stress. These are all things to help you de-stress. How do you continue to create when you're dealing with stress or health challenges or illness or conditions or anything? How do you continue to do that?
I don't. I focus on other parts of my business. Like I will I'm one of there's a stigma about like the tortured artist and like how people create from these dark places. I cannot. My brain is
Hmm.
like, absolutely not. We are not doing that right now.
Okay.
So when I am overly stressed or not feeling 100% my best, that's when I take my energy that I have and I put it into like looking at analytics, scheduling a couple calls for ad placements. Like I focus on the task, the tick 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 things
The
that I know I
other
can.
side of our
Yeah,
brain.
the ABCs of business, and the creative energy gets to slowly rebuild while I'm, going through whatever that is. Um, and then I can go back to it. I am not one of those people that's like, you got to push through it because I feel like when I'm struggling to create something, the people, my audience, my readers, they can feel that in the material. Like, Jessica was not into this when she was writing it, or the creation is a little off. So I'm happy to say that I'm at a point in my career where I can take a step back. I don't have to grind and like try to force the work out there just to like hit the goalpost or whatever. But um, I'm also at a point where I understand when those moments are coming. Like throughout the year, I know that like certain times of the year, I'm not like in the summer, I barely write a lot. Like I'm not gonna
Mhm.
be writing a lot because I'm traveling a lot. The stress is high. But like in November, this is the time where I really hit the creative like gas pedal because my life is calmer. Like, yeah, there's like holiday stress, but that's just like typical, everyone's life type of stress. But as far as the business stress, like me being tired from all the events, like none of that is really weighing on me. So
Mhm.
this from like now until February, I'm just going to be knocking out the work, right? Because I know that I have the creative juice for it. I call it my hibernation season because I don't go to a bunch of events. I'm not, you know, outwardly visible. Like people can't see me as much. Even on social media, I will shift my schedule so I'm not as visible during this time because I really need to pull that energy back into creation.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty good. I remember taking a class in college. It was, and I might be mixing it up, but it was right brain finance for left-brained people, or vice versa, whichever one is the creative side. It was an accounting class for creatives, and
Mm,
it was a lot of information about going back and forth and trying to switch on and switch off those other sides. I still ain't quite figured that out, but I love that you can tap into that other side when you're not feeling those creative juices. That makes
yeah.
absolute perfect sense. Um, I got to skip around because you already mentioned vampires and you've already mentioned the underworld. For those who don't know the subject matter of your books, can you the talk about that genre? Talk about creating these characters, these storylines. What is it that you do, Jessica?
So I write fantasy and paranormal stories that put Black people at the forefront. You know, I grew up watching sci-fi fantasy, aliens and vampires and demons and dragons and all of these things, these magical. Because my mother was a sci-fi nut, so I grew up watching these films and television shows with my mother, and also reading books from my grandmother's shelf, and all these amazing stories. And I'm like, where are the Black people? Where
Okay.
are we? Like the books and the
Representation
media that I was
matters.
consuming, growing up in Chicago, it just did not match, you
Hmm.
know, the neighborhoods and the society that I saw when I walk out the door. You know, I saw everybody in Chicago. You see everybody, and so when I did get into writing to publish independently, it was a very profound and intentional decision to say, hey, I'm writing stories for us. Like this is a genre that I know I love. I know a lot of my friends love. I know there's an audience out there. It may take a while to reach them, but very purposefully, I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting us on the covers. The characters are Black. The main character, we're not gonna do like the sidekick who's Black and has to die in chapter 3 in order for the companion to succeed. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
So that's what I write. I write stories that are sometimes dark, sometimes lighthearted, sometimes on earth, sometimes not, but it's all fantasy, paranormal, speculative fiction is what they really categorize it under, featuring strong Black characters who are soft but strong. I like to write women who are vulnerable but also cared for and growing and going to therapy and things of that nature that actually showcase all the facets of what being a Black woman is. And I write specifically Black American characters. I know that like we have this diaspora and it's people are a lot of people are tapping into like the Orishas and all these other cultures, but I really try to focus in on like Black American storytelling and like showcasing us and who we are, because that I feel is so valuable. Um, because I don't know nothing about the Orishas for real. Like I read the books and but like that's not my ministry. I'm from the South Side of Chicago, so I write stories that feel like people who are from here, and they go through what we gone through and they have the same dialect and the same mannerisms. And I think that showcasing that in a fantasy setting is just like so important, because so many of us grew up loving and seeing these stories and wanting to feel like we were a part of it. And I'm hoping that I give that to some people.
Wow. Having over 40 projects, I have to assume it's probably more like 100 if you count things that have not been published, have not been made public. How do you deal with the flops? The stories you put time and energy into, you get halfway through it, you scratch it. I've been talking to you and like, I don't think I'm, no, like that whole paragraph got to come out, just deleted 5,000 words. How do you deal with that? Uh, when you decide it's not going where you want to go, how do you pick that back up and start over?
I guess I don't view it as a flop. I view it as growth in my writing. I view it as a deeper understanding of like the characters and the world that I'm creating. And I also view the ones that never get published as something that was not for the world to see in the beginning. Like it was something for me to experience. It was something for me to play around with, because there's still that inner child who just loves storytelling. Like I started writing when I was very, very young. So I see these extra stories as like, oh, young Jessica was just playing around and having fun, and I put it in a folder and I move on, because not everything that comes to my brain is something that's going to be published and made ready for public consumption. You know what I mean? And then there are the ones that you publish and they just don't do as well as you thought. I say, okay, well, that was fun. And I move on to the next project, because what I have learned is that those flops that we do publish, 5 years later, all of a sudden, everybody and their mama reading it, and they ask you, "Why didn't you do anything else with this?" It's like, because it didn't do well when I first published it. So it is what it is. This is a business, also. So I think I've learned to take out the personal hurt, because when you first start, there is a sense of failure. There is like a hurt that comes with like, oh, this isn't as good as I wanted it to be, or this didn't do as it wasn't received as well as I wanted it to be, right? So there's a personal hurt that happens, but I feel like right now I'm like 15 years in, it's not as I don't take it as personal. When it's something that I haven't published, I say this was for me and no one else, and it's fun, and now I get to move on to something else. If it's something that I did publish and it didn't do as great, I just look at the analytics. Okay, maybe it wasn't the book itself, maybe it was the marketing, maybe it was the timing of the year. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So I don't take it personal anymore. I either analytical, or I say, hey, this was just for me to have fun with, and I just move on, because if you sit in it too long, it starts to hinder your ability to move on to the next project. It starts to make you question yourself, and it chips away at your confidence. So I think looking at the flops or the failures as experiments, and just like, not everything is going to be a hit, and then
That's
just
an
move on.
excellent word.
Yeah.
Experiment. This was an experiment, because that's all we're doing anyway.
Yeah.
Is getting it out of our brain and putting it on paper, and hoping somebody likes it as much as we like it, right?
Yeah.
So for the works that have been published, have you ever had to deal with rejection or overcoming the need to conform to other people's suggestions? You talked a lot about diversity and the need for representation, and seeing our culture, seeing our stories, seeing Black faces, not just in the stories, but on the cover, okay? Because these covers are amazing. And I'm going to pull some out in the morning, but how do you deal with that? How do you stand 10 toes down? This is the book, this is the project. I'm not changing the story.
I think about when my grandmother told me I was very young and getting picked on at school. Um, and my grandmother just took me to the side. She said, listen, because I was very much starting to try to conform and try to change and try to shift into what the other kids said I should be. And my grandmother, she took me to the side and she said, listen, not everyone is going to love everything about you. Not everyone is going to see the vision, or, understand what makes you shine. They may see your shine, but they may not understand it. That's not your problem. You don't have to shift yourself or change yourself to appease these other people. Them not liking you does not dull your shine. Them not understanding what makes you special, or what, you put into this, does not take away from how impactful it is, right? And this was me at a very young age, and it sticks with me to this day, because whenever I get rejected, or say a reader doesn't like it, or you get a negative review, or someone makes a suggestion that feels like it's against what I should be doing for my work, I just remind myself of that. Like, I remind myself of the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing, and how I felt when I put it out. Am I happy with it? Like, at the end of the day, if I remove all these other opinions of my work, am I happy with it? Did I do everything that I could do to make it the best thing that I could put out at the time? And I see that changes over time. The best that I could do 10 years ago is nowhere near the best that I can do today, because I've learned, I've grown, I've built out my team. But in that time, I was happy with what I did. It was the best that I could do. And I learned from what I did, and I took those lessons to the next project. That's what matters to me. I've had people suggest, like, oh, maybe you should take the characters off of your book, because, just put like a flower or something. It would make it more marketable. But that's not my purpose in creating this. It's my purpose is to reach the audience that are people like me who have not seen themselves in these stories. That is my purpose. It's not just to make a book that sells, a ton of books. At least that wasn't my purpose back then. Now it's like I'm trying to sell these books, but back then I was just trying to showcase characters and reach the audience that I was intending to reach, right? Now it's like I'm reaching that audience and now I want to make all the money with these books too. But still, in fact, my books still have the characters on the front of them. They're still unapologetically black, right? But you will get that pushback. At least back in the day when I first started publishing independently, a lot of the gurus, a lot of the successful people in publishing were not us. It wasn't, as far as indie anyway, you know what I mean, in the Kindle spaces and all that. All of the people who were really hitting it big were not looking like me, you know. um but over the last like 6 years or so, that has shifted, and I am so proud of myself for sticking to what my vision was when I first started, because during that shift, my audience that I have been building for and preparing for found me. And now I get to continue to create with that same purpose as proudly as I did the first time I did it. Yes, did I make mistakes? Absolutely. But I learned, and I take the lessons from those mistakes and I put it forward and I continue to improve and grow. And now I'm where I need to be right at the moment where my audience is looking for me. And that's the lesson I take from that. So I don't worry so much about outside rejection or opinions of what I'm doing. I focus on my goals and what I feel I need to be doing, the lessons that I've learned to carry forward to make my process better and to produce better stories and better experiences for my audience.
Beautiful, beautifully spoken. Um, Speaking of Black characters on covers that are unapologetic, um, my first introduction to Jessica Cage books was the Wolf series, uh, and these amazing species. She fine too, you know. I'm just putting it out there. Um, oh my gosh, this was the Wolf series, the Alphas. This was the Alpha series. Okay, so this was my first introduction to these projects, and I'm telling you, I was messaging her like every 10 pages, like, what? You got to be kidding me. Why is he so fun? And then there we got some standalone projects. Uh, we got some strong female characters over here. We got some more wolfery going on. Um, yeah, I'm pulling them out. So she got over 40 projects. I'm proud to say I have more than uh, a, 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 a quarter of this collection. Um, and she mentioned, you know, her best 10 years ago is not her best today. And the fact that she was happy with what she put out. Well, she wasn't happy with some stuff. She went back and redid books, and she said, don't read the series. I'm redoing it. I'm making it out and adding a fourth book that's bigger than the other ones. So perfectionism comes into play. And this is not it. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is not it. There's another box. I still owe her a reveal because I wanted to do something with that because this is super duper book, right? The size is super duper. And there's another box somewhere, but this is Jessica Cage. When I say these covers are magnificent and these characters are blackety black and beautiful, I gotta go back. I gotta go back over here to these wolves. Um, but I gotta ask another question now, because again, underworld, vampires, wolves, sirens, uh, uh, dragons, um, fairies. Uh, it's a lot of dark stories. It's called the underworld for a reason. Um, how are you able to shake off these worlds? Because they're all different worlds. How are you able to shake off? It's witches, in the wolf story. How are you able to shake this off? um, and come out of that darkness after you've been creating and developing these characters and these bubbles that they live in. And these are real places. Like, I'll never forget the witches were in New Orleans. I'm not gonna forget that. I can see they're very visual, so you're painting the picture for the audience. The garden, the mountains, the castles, we can see all of that. you know and then you got a whole nother series that you might want to pull up and put show the people, because I don't have those three. I was waiting on the three piece. When the three piece came out, now the three pieces out. I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend.
Yes.
Booty juice is all
Booty.
I'm gonna tell you. And you got to go in and figure out what booty juice is about. Um, and then the second one, uh, these they're not all the same characters. So we got demons, we got vampires, we got shadow walkers. I don't think I had to ask you what's a shadow walker, because I don't think I know that. Now, mind you, I loved Grimm. Okay, so that was the extent of my sci-fi world. Like, I know these creatures. Um,
Yeah.
who's a vampire series? Uh, you know, we've seen these things on TV, but holding it in your hand and digesting it is very different. So, how do you walk away from these worlds?
I don't know that I
Do you
do.
do
I
you
don't know
walk
that I
away?
do. I feel
Okay,
like
it's a better question. Do
it's
you walk away?
my world. I'm never fully out of it. You know what I mean? Fantasy, sci-fi, paranormal. It has been such a huge part of like my experience, my human experience since I was a kid. So I don't know that I completely ever leave that side of my mental experience, but my books are also so character driven that um like before I sit down and write a story and I have a picture of like my main character, I will do like an interview with the main character and understand like who are you and what's driving you, what is your goal, you know what I mean? So that I when I'm writing this world and I'm exploring it from the lens of that character, I can actually give you a sense of how that character would interact with the world, because not every character is going to notice the same things or experience the same moment in the same way, right? So for me, when I finish a story, it's more so of leaving the mind of that character and not so much of the world itself, right? Um, because I will tell you, like when I wrote A Corruption to Go to Ashes, leaving the main character Malway was a very difficult thing for me because of the loss that she experienced, and I at the same time had just lost my grandfather.
Mm,
So our grief felt like it was so intertwined, you know what I mean? So that was a harder separation. It's more the separation of the character and not so much the world itself, because I can go back into that world whenever I want to, but I cannot experience that character's journey in the same way, you know what I mean, as when I'm writing it the first time. So for me, it's more like leaving a character, which is why my first series, I never finished it. It's to this day, I have not finished that last book because I was so unaccustomed at the time to leaving a character behind. And
mm.
that was something that I had to get good with, is saying goodbye to a character. To this day, when I think about like writing that final book, I'm like, nope, can't do it. I won't do it. No, 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 no.
Is
And
this a
now it's like
popular series?
I'm so far removed from that character that I don't think that I could do that last book justice, which is why that series is like not available anymore,
Okay,
because I don't want
that's
people
what I
coming.
was asking. Is this a published series
No, I don't
with
want people coming to
a
be like,
fourth book that we don't know about? No.
where is that book at? Like, it's never gonna happen. So you can't even get that first series anymore.
Oh wow.
But yeah, for me, it's more so separating self, like my mind, from the characters, experience. And then sometimes I have to go to like I have to book an extra therapy session. Like
When you
Because
finish, when you finish the
just in
series.
the yeah, it's like just in the way that you feel the grief of a character. Like when you have you ever read a book and you close, you're like, dang, I want to go back. I want to. The author feels that too. You know what I mean? The creator feels that too because like, oh, now it's time to move on, but I just want to hang out here. But like, no, I have to move on. And sometimes I need to like call on my therapist, like, yeah, this one was hard, which is why with this series, this accidentally, some of the demon boyfriend, the accidents happen series is lighthearted, it's rom-com, it's fun, it's because the last book that I wrote before this one was A Corruption of Gilded Ashes, and when I tell you, it was like a gut check, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm done with the darkness. I'm just gonna make people laugh and have fun now because that was a heavy filled with messages and meaning and layers. And I was like, this still has layers and messaging and all that, but it's just not as, in the heart. I had that book came out and I had people emailing me. Everyone would email or message me at chapter 4. Oh my God, how could you do this? Oh, I can't. I had to put the book down. I can't move on. And I was just like, oh, yeah,
It's
I remember
hard.
that. It's
Mm.
hard. So I was like, let's do something nice for both myself and for my readers and bring us some lighthearted, funny, giggly, unseriousness, but still with adventure and plot and all that, right? But it's a process. Some books are easier to walk away than others. Some books you're like, yeah, that was cool, let's go. Others you're like, oh my God, what happens next, So
It was
that's how I
difficult
felt.
walking away from the wolves.
You said what?
It was difficult walking away from the wolves.
It was that book that when I wrote the last one for the Alpha series, Mara's story, like how gut wrenching, and I felt so bad, and I was like, I gotta do more, but it was like, no, that's the end. Like that's her story, and it's one of those things where it's like not everyone is going to get that picture perfect ending. And before writing the Accidents Happen series, my stories are not marketed as romance, because romance you have to have that everything has to come together so perfectly. At the end, the HEA has to be there, right? A
Mhm.
happily ever after. I was not marketing any of my books as romance because a lot of my books they end and it's like, damn, excuse my language, that that's hard.
That's exactly what we say.
Yeah, but some story, I'm very much in the mindset that not every story gets that like perfect wrap up. I think about the movie, oh, what is it called? Oh, what is his name? Not Sherlock. The Monster Hunter. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, at the end of the movie, the main love interest is dead and he like everything is wrapped up, but he has to go on without her. She's dead and gone. She got, bit by the vampire, attacked by the wolf. She is dead. Okay. And it's like, yay, we did what we needed to do, but there's still this somber feeling of them like burning her body and like putting her off, and now he has to go on and live his eternal life by himself, even
Mm.
still. And I think about those movies where it's like so satisfying and we got everything we needed to, but there's still this like, oh, you know, that's how a lot of my stories work, where it's like we did everything we needed to do, but like this character's journey was not one that led to love or was not one that led to what you would assume is the perfect ending of their story, because that's how life is. And I loved exploring those like grittier, I loved that before. And then I wrote that book and I was like, I'm done. Like
We
I'm
need
done
to
with
laugh now.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what this next series is. This is fun. This is lighthearted. This is cute.
Yeah.
This is sex.
I'm in a
This
new
is.
era. Yeah. All of my stories that I'm plotting right now are more lighthearted, more happiness, more romance, and I think I'm entering this year of romance. Like I said, I'm going to romance my life, like for myself, like creating experience and energy for myself that feels romantic and fulfilling for self, right? I'm
Soft
pouring
girl
that
era.
energy. You said what?
The soft girl era.
Yes. And so all of my stories are exploring that as well, and I feel like it's just like a mirror of like where I am in my journey, and that's what I put into my stories, because the stories themselves are in a way therapeutic, like it's me working through the messaging in my own life, but through the lens of fantasy.
Okay. So speaking of working through messaging, um, USA best-selling author, Amazon best-selling author, many awards and accolades to your name, to your credit. Have you ever had to deal with imposter syndrome as a Black woman, as a creative, as a success story? What does that look like?
Absolutely. I got nominated for an award that I will be at the dinner for next weekend, and it's like it's there, and I feel like I think it comes from people kind of poo-pooing on indie publishing, and so a lot
Mm.
of the independent published authors who are finding success now, it feels like a shared, like we talk about this, a lot. It was just this shared, like, almost disbelief, like, yeah, we knew we could do it, but did we do it? You know what I mean? Like, so it's that layer of being like, I put the work in, and now that it's all happening, it feels, what now? You know what I mean? Like, what happens next? Like, and did I do something wrong that along the way that someone is going to be like, well, she didn't format this book correctly, or she didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, it always feels like there's like this gotcha moment coming where everyone's going to say, oh, she's not that good, you know?
Mm.
And it's like, it's absolutely ridiculous. But
Mm.
that it comes from like years of fighting a stigma about not only being an independent author, but being a Black author, being an author who puts Black characters on. Like, there's layers of that stuff that I'm like peeling back and coming to terms with, like, no. And again, it goes back to being like, that was the point. That was my purpose. That was why I did it. Right. But like, there's two halves of that has to like justify, I think, like, to balance it out. And I feel like there's a saying going around now. I don't know where it originated from, but they're basically saying, like, imposter syndrome only affects the people who are where they're supposed to be. It never affects the people who are like,
Wow.
getting handed this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about like corporate America, right? And how people are hiring their cousins, the cousin who got hired with no background and no, expertise never has imposter syndrome. It's the person who went to school and worked 20 years and built this career and has the knowledge who sits there with imposter syndrome, right?
Such
It
a
only
valid
affects the
point.
people who are where they're supposed to be because they earned that, because they worked for it, right? It never. So anytime I anytime I feel it now, I think about that saying. Like, you're only feeling this because you're where you're supposed to be, you know? And then I also think that my imposter syndrome stems from me, like, points of my life where I'm like not an imposter for where I am, but for what the next, like, when I start focusing on the next goal. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
not so much I've hit this, I've proven this, I'm here. My imposter syndrome has shifted over the last couple of years, whereas I'm looking at the next amazing, exciting, almost impossible feeling goal. And that's where it hits me. Like, girl, are you sure when I said last year, oh, I'm gonna double my sales. I'm gonna
You
double,
did. You said
double.
it.
I did it. And then I
You
hit it. And
did.
I was like, huh. And now here I am talking about I'm gonna double it again. And that's when the imposter syndrome. That's when the imposter syndrome comes in. It's like, girl, are you sure? You being greedy. That's where it is for me now, right? I don't have it for things that I've already achieved.
You have it for what's
I
next.
did it. That's done. That money is in my account. You can't take it from me. Okay. But that's in the bank, baby. It's the new goals that I'm setting. Like, for my birthday, my birthday is in October, and I do my yearly vision board, and I put together the vision of my next life, and this and that and this and that, right? And that is when I start to deal with the imposter syndrome
Mm.
coming back to the surface. Like, oh, you think you're gonna make $1 million next year?
But
Okay.
if you looked at last year's board,
Check, check, check,
check,
check, check.
check, check. I love it.
I even put the big ones, the focus ones, like, I have post-it notes on my wall, and it says, I will do this. I will do that. It's not like I want, I dream. It's I will, by this day, I will. And if I look at every single one of those, check, check, check. They all happened, right? And now it's time for me to refresh that for the next year. But this is how I have started to deal with imposter syndrome. I in your face, you know what I mean? Oh, you got imposter syndrome about that? Put it on the wall so you see it every day. You know what I mean? Face it every single day. And it helps me to like push and navigate through that.
As a successful 30 something year old entrepreneur, can you talk about some of the pressure that comes with being the breadwinner, being a single mom, being the most successful person in your family, from your neighborhood, in your friends group? I don't know. You got a lot of places and spaces, but how do you navigate through that pressure when
Yeah.
it's you that can help people? Everybody got their hand out. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants your advice. Can you sit and coach me for free? No, I can't do it for free. How do you deal with the pressure of being that at that level of success in all of those different spaces?
Well, for one, I don't really compare my success to anyone else's because what feels like most successful to me may not even register on someone else's measurement of success, right? Most
Mhm.
successful to me may be, oh, I made $1 million from my books. But most successful to her or whoever's next to me may be, um, I got my kid everything that they needed for school, or, I was very active in my community. So I don't really look at what I measure my success as, because there's other measurements outside of the business that
Mhm.
collectively make up what I see as me being successful. Have I hit these things for my son? Have I done these things for my personal health?
Mhm.
Like there's is an amalgamation of things that have to be, for me to feel successful, not just in the entrepreneur. I can be hitting every freaking goal and making all the money and selling all the books over here. But if my son is not happy, or he is sick, or mentally not stable, or if my health is failing, this don't matter to me. Like I'm not. This does not make me feel like a success. If the
Yes.
other levels of my life are not where I feel like it should be. Um, and I think that that's what helps me through navigation, is that I don't hinge my self-worth or success on my business. I know that in metrics, if you're only looking at that, yeah, I probably am one of the most, I wouldn't even say I'm the most successful person for my family, but I am up there. You know what I mean? Not even from my friend group, because I have friends who are doctors and lawyers, and you know what I mean? But like, we're all doing good. We're doing well, right? So, um, I have to make sure I'm staying grounded. I journal, and I make sure that I'm focusing on what's important to me and not what these external markers of success mean to other people. I've learned to say no a lot more. Okay. People have their hand out. No. Can you do this? No. Will you train? No. No is such a powerful word that for me, me, former people pleaser, I used to never say no. If somebody asked me to do something, I was okay, yeah, I can make it work. Stressing myself out, losing hair, losing sleep, because I'm trying to be everything for everybody, right?
Mhm.
I've learned to say no to people, because the way that I lead a successful, healthy life for me is by not giving so much of myself away just because someone asks for it, and I'm trying to like be there for everybody, right? Um, Being the breadwinner is like, yeah, I'm a single mother. You know what I mean? Like that comes with the territory. Even if I didn't have a kid, like it's just me. So that is one of the things that I've been comfortable and come to terms with for a long time. My son is 15 now, so it's not like it's a new thing. But um, having to put up the barrier of no over the last few years of my life, and learning to be okay with not giving everybody everything that they ask of me, has made the balance and navigating entrepreneurship in general so much easier. Because I'm not overcommitting my time and energy. Because when you do that, then everything else, all the other things start to fail. I'm
Mhm.
giving you this and I'm giving you that, but I'm forgetting those things that were important and have to be done. And then and then I'm running to fix that. But then I'm almost done with repairing what I've messed up over here. But now you need something, you know? So having a priorities list, having a spoons list, so to speak. So everyone talks about how many spoons you have, right? I have a bucket, I would say, an allotment of spoons each month, right? And when I say yes to something, I figure out how many spoons is that going to take, how much of my energy, and okay, boom, okay, boom. And when that boom hits zero, everybody else gets told no. Sorry, I'm out of spoons for the month. Check me next month. You know what I mean?
I have to imagine, because you rich, I'm not, but I have to imagine that it is incredibly difficult to prioritize that when you know if I do this, this, and this, I can make this much money today. If I go live, I know I can sell this many books today. If I go do this conference, I know I'm going to sell out my table. They give me a table today. When you know you can, yeah, it's measurements of success, but it's also measurements of wealth because you know if I do these three things, boom, in my bank account, right? How how do you I don't want to use the word temptation, but that's hard. That's hard. Like I can just do if I just did one more thing this month, if I just did one more thing, I can pay my car note off. I can pay this house off. I can put that in the college fund. How do you stay away from that? How do you not go over the edge?
I think that I have dealt with the limiting beliefs around money and about abundance and about I'm very much, yeah, I could do that to get, say, oh, I need $1,000. I could do A, B, C, or D. In my mind, that $1,000, the universe wants to give it to me anyway, right? So whether I go over here, there, or there, I'm gonna get that money. It's gonna come to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know where this came from, but I've always, from childhood, believed I'm gonna be okay. The universe gonna give me what I need. And as long as I am making positive steps towards whatever I'm doing, the universe provides it. You know what I mean? Like I get, it's like days where it's like I could either write, I could either go live, I could either do an event, right? Regardless of which one of those things I do, as long as I do one of them, I'm gonna get, you know what I mean? Like and I will literally be sitting here writing and getting the notifications like, oh, you got to order. Oh, you got to order. Oh, you got to order. And I see that as an energy exchange with the universe, right? What are you doing today to make the steps towards where you want to be? Regardless of what that looks like, you're going to get the benefit on the other side. You're going to get what you're working for, right? Because yeah, you might have to go, oh, if I go to this event, then I'm gonna make $1,000, but I gotta pay for gas. I gotta have 8 hours out of my day for that $1,000. I gotta miss time with my son. Like there's always a trade-off, right? So
Mhm.
I don't look at it that way. I used to. I don't look at it that way anymore, right? I look at it as what is the most beneficial thing that I could be doing right now in this moment? Is that working on the next book? Is that looking at, analytics? Is that just turning everything off and going and hanging out with my child? Because in 2.5 years, he's 18 and he might tell me peace. He might not, but he might, you know what I mean? So I look at it that way. I feel like there is a priority and there is a calendar, right? Events, if it's not within a certain time of the year, I'm not doing it. It doesn't matter. I don't care how much money I could potentially make at said event. I'm not going. Like I said, mid-November to February 1st, I don't do events. I'm hibernating. Leave me alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like having consistent effort and strong boundaries and a deeper understanding of who I am and how I navigate the world and what works for me energetically is what has led to my success. I don't think it's any one action. I think it's all of these things coming together to to make me understand who I am and how I have to, navigate, right? Um and I don't want to lean into one thing too much anyway because that thing may poof. I like to spread the love, but yeah, I think that it just comes from not so much chasing the coin and attracting the coin, having the energy and the efforts that attract that abundance, I think, um, has really made the difference, because I'm not doing that. Oh my God, this I can make $10 over here. I can make, if I go over here, these I might sell 3 books. Like that energy doesn't, in my opinion and in my experience, lead to like true success and true growth in the business. And I don't want to be doing things where I have to chase and I have to do things to produce the money. Like I want to be able to sit here and talk to my friend Angel for an hour and know that them books are still being sold. You know what I mean? Without me having to chase it. That's what I'm looking for. Those are the moves that I'm trying to make. So that there one day I can be sitting on an island somewhere with a drink in my hand and money rolling in, and I ain't got to do nothing for
Next to her friend Angel, right?
it. Next to my friend Angel.
And you know what? I absolutely do not have to validate anything that you have said. But for the sake of the people, I'm gonna tell you, we hear stories and we hear people giving us all this wisdom, this insight, and these great tips, and we like, oh, hey, that sound good. She do this because I sit on the phone with her, and she like, girl, okay, I got a live in 10 minutes, or we've been talking for 2 hours. Girl, I got a deadline. I gotta write something, or we're starting to what you call them? I don't know. We got to write. You can sprint. We starting to sprint. I got a sprint. I got 10 minutes to talk. We starting to sprint at 1. Or she don't answer, and she'll message me back. Watching wrestling with the boy. I know her, so I know these things that she's doing. I have sat and listened, and the notifications are going off. And she's like, I just sold 5 books. It's like you ain't even doing nothing, but. But this is what happens. So when she's talking that talk, she walking that walk. I just want to make sure y'all know, y'all. Okay, I don't have to validate her, but in case you don't know her and don't believe it, I'm going to throw that out there. Now, because I know her, because I know you, and I thought about you when I put on my social battery shirt. Okay, um, I know how introverted you can be. Yeah. But the people on the TikTok, they see you weekly. Okay, sometimes more often. They sit with you while you're creating and you're talking and you're packing orders and telling stories and leaky kid laughing. Okay, talk about the mental strength it takes to be outgoing while you are live online and at book signings and sitting on panels and selling books at the table when you want to be alone. You just said you hibernate. October to February. I already know she writing. Don't bother her. She don't answer. I talk to you at Easter, right? I already know that. How do you handle that?
Um,
What kind of strength does that take when you are introverted? You want to be by yourself, but you got to be out here public with the peoples. And
I
oh,
always tell people I'm like Beyonce, where she has like Sasha Fierce, like she turns it on and then she go. That's me. It's like when I'm interacting with my readers, I'm the author, author Jessica. Like I'm me, but it's like this extra character hat that I can put on, and like I can, but like when I go to events, like these multi-day events where it's like they have all these extra things, I don't do any of the extra. I will talk on the panel, I will sign the books, and I'm in my hotel room.
calling me.
You're not gonna see me, right? HGTV on the hey girl, yeah. I don't do any. I reserve my energy. I protect my energy when I'm on live. When I have any, okay, y'all, I'm on here for 2 hours. 2 hours. My moderators are in there like, y'all, she got 10 minutes left because they understand that. Okay, she got 5 minutes. Okay, Jessica, go eat. Go. I have a community of people. My readers take care of me. You know what I mean? I was just, it was so funny because we were having a conversation on live the other day, And somebody was like, yeah, if anybody got a problem with Jessica, we gonna stand up. I say, listen, y'all don't gotta do all that. Cause if people got beef with me, they sitting at the table with one. Cause I'm not there. I don't know what they talking about. Y'all don't have to come to my defense, but that's how like I have a community of people who are protective of me as much as I am. They understand who I am. They don't fault me for who I am. And I think that having that level of understanding with your community helps a lot. You know what I mean? So when I say I'm tired, they like, okay, go. We know you're tired. And I'm
Mhm.
someone who has unfortunately been very sickly for most of my life. I'm
Mhm.
always, low energy, low, if I get a little tickle or whatever, it can take me out for a month.
Mhm.
So my audience understands that, and I think that they respect the boundary of being like, okay, she's giving us what she can, and when she can't, she gonna tell us she can't, and we'll be here when she get back. And that's how it's been for my entire career, as being like forward facing and having such a community. And I just appreciate that. I try to make sure that I maintain that understanding with readers new and old of like where my boundaries are. And again, if I'm tired, I'm not coming. Like I just and that's how it was like when I was in corporate America. I got PTO, baby. I'm not coming. It's not a request. I'm letting you know I'm not coming.
What does PTO stand for? Prepare the
Prepare
others.
the others.
Because I
Prepare.
will.
Get somebody else to do it because I'm not coming. There was an event over the summer I really wanted to go to, but physically my health
Mhm.
was not there. And I said, hey,
Mhm.
I emailed the organizer, like, I'm so sorry. Like, if I can send some things, for you to give the readers, but I'm not going to be there. And I think that that's again one of those things of learning to be okay with saying no, or I can't, or just like, hey, my apologies. I know I committed to this, but physically I cannot do it. Um, it took me a while to get there, especially with like trying to build a business and being like, oh, I can't show up because you don't want to be known as the person who doesn't show up. But at the end of the day, I'm a single mom. I have a kid that, relies on me. So I have to protect my energy. I have to protect my mental, emotional, physical health. Um, and if that means that, hey, they having a party, after party at the event, you coming? No. Then I'm not coming. People at this point know, not even asking if I'm coming, because I'm not coming. I'm about to order me something to eat, and I'll be in my hotel room, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. That's how I am, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that being, like I have a good space, and people kind of learn to understand. And if they don't like it, like I said, table for one. I don't really don't really phase me. I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Mhm. What wisdom can you share with young indie authors and creatives who are just getting started, or those who have failed, and what they were trying to accomplish over the last few years? What kind of wisdom can you share with them?
First, consistency is your best friend, and consistency is going to look different for you than it does for anyone else. Finding what you can do consistently to continue learning and growing, whether that means, like for me, consistency is posting content, or currently I should say posting content every day, and doing my lives a few days a week, and you know writing stories for page, like that's my consistent effort every little, weekly things that I can do repeatedly, that I show up for myself, my audience, and my work, right? That is your best friend. And when it comes to like I made so many mistakes with my earlier work, which is why a lot of it is not available anymore. Learn from those things. Don't internalize it. Don't make it something negative about yourself. Learn from the things that you could have done better and put that into the next thing. Because I wrote 41 books before the one that took off, this one. 41. Now, mind you, I was doing well with the other books, don't get me wrong. But this book came out and shot to the moon, right? I was able to go full time as an
Book number
author. I was able
42.
to, you said what?
Book number 42.
Number 42,
Wow.
right? But along the way, I was growing. I mean, I was doing okay, I was doing all
I
right.
know. She rich.
We
I
was doing good. But along the way, each book got better, each experience got better, the feedback got better, my process got better, right? And those increment, it might not take you 40, it may take you 3. But as long as you are doing consistent growth and development of your work, and also showing up for yourself and your work and your audience, I think that that leads you to the success you are looking for. And I also say you need to be the first super fan of your book, of yourself, of your brand. And that's how you need to show up, because people are going to see your energy and your love for what you do, and they're going to take that and they're going to run with it, right? And they're going to become like your actual super fans, and they're going to shout you out, and they're going to be having battles that you don't know they're having on your behalf, and they're going to be mentioning your name in rooms that you could not even dream of. And that's because of the energy that you put into your work. I'm always talking about my books. Okay. I'm super fan. You know what I mean? I'm holding it up. I'm taking it out. I literally took my book, my last book that released, I took it to my massage. You know what I mean? And I did I did content where it was like the book was going for a massage after a terrible, new release, a stressful day.
I
And
love
you know what I
it.
mean? And while I'm doing that, people are like, what's that? I'm gonna tell you about my book. You know what I mean? Like, you have to bring that energy and that excitement into your craft and into the process, and understand that, I feel like a lot of people perceive overnight success. There's a lot of people who are finding me now, like, girl, oh my God, I'm so glad you started writing. I got your debut book. And I'm like, that is not my debut. My debut, you can't even
Number
get no more.
42.
That's
Oh
number
my
42,
goodness.
But that doesn't
And,
matter.
and again, others have been wildly successful.
Wildly successful. They've won awards. They've been overseas. I mean,
That happened before this book.
and then I keep saying, like, and someday I will write another book that will completely outshine the one that is doing so well right now. And people are like, oh my God, I got your debut, girl. Let me tell you, you know what I mean.
I'm on book 59. What are you talking about?
Like, girl, but I
Go
don't.
back and
I'm
get
like,
the
oh,
other ones.
thank you. I got 40 something, or other ones you could 40, and that's another conversation, right? But I just feel like as long as you're doing consistent and efforts, and then also just loving what you do, standing 10 tones down on like your purpose of like why you started in whatever it is you're doing, you need to really understand your reason for doing it, and like lock in on that. And then again, consistent effort, and just shout it out, because it's an amazing thing if you're creating something and putting out in the world. I don't care what the level of quality or whatever these metrics is. You did a thing and you should be proud of that.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today. First day of the month. This is exciting. National Authors Month. Who better to sit here and chat with me other than USA best-selling author Miss Jessica Cage? Final thoughts? It
My
could have been
brain,
the final thought.
I'm just so happy, and I'm proud of you, because girl, I'll get sappy in a second, but like, honestly, especially everything I've seen you doing over the last month, and I know your audience knows, of like the walks and the community building, and I'm just so proud. Like I said, all of my friends are successful. All of my friends are just like these vibrant, especially the women. Some of the men, I gotta nudge them a little bit, but all the women that I surround myself with, they just glow. And you are one of those people who I know when I talk to you is going to be uplifting. I know that we're going to come away with like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do. We're always so motivated after we talk. And I just love that about you. And I'm so proud of everything that you're doing and all the things that are coming for you. Like, I'm just going to be sitting here like, look at my friend. Like, and that's another thing. Be in community, for whoever's listening. Be in community with people who are like the people you want to be, like who you see yourself being. That's who you should surround yourself with. And I see
That's
myself being so much like Angel, community building and walking and fitting and Pilates and like, you got me back into working out. I was like, Angel is getting it in. Let me book me some
hey.
dang classes. But no, honestly, the community is amazing, and I'm so
Be
proud.
in community with people you want to be like. I love that. I want to sell more books.
Ooh. Community.
I, I want to write workbooks. So yeah, absolutely. I might even get on TikTok. I don't know. I don't know. I
I'm
might.
still trying to get you on these sprints with us.
I might. I might. I might. We'll see. But yes, you have been an inspiration to me since we met. So it is a shared appreciation National Gratitude Month. I am so grateful to have you in my life and to have you as a friend and
Don't get me crying.
all right. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna kick you off, but don't leave. Don't leave. Thank you to everyone who came out to watch Miss Jessica Cage share all of her wisdom for creatives, for indie authors, for women, for mothers, all of the things that she shared with us today. Thank you for coming, and I'll talk to you in a minute. Don't go nowhere. Woo! All right, so it's yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. I am very grateful for Miss Jessica Cage spending National Author Month with us. November is also Movember. Again, global campaign to raise awareness and funds for mental health for men, for suicide prevention for men, and for prostate and testicular cancer for men. It is also National Gratitude Month. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving month. Focuses on practicing gratitude and a reminder to express appreciation and intentional acts of kindness, not just random acts of kindness. So I will leave you with that. Be intentional about your kindness this month. Be intentional. Show your appreciation. Go love on the people who are in your community. And as Jessica told us, be in community with people you want to be like. If I want to be like you, I shouldn't be hanging out with you. If I can't see myself in you, probably shouldn't be spending time with you. And that's it. See you all next month on Be the Message. We have another special guest. We will be talking about National Grief Awareness Week next month. And we already have our guest lined up who's going to be talking to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. If you know me, that's your hint. So see you next month. Be good to people and be better to yourself.